Yo, welcome to another installment of the Just Go With It podcast. My guest today was Mr. Todd Henson. He is a friend of a friend, or was a friend of a friend. Now I consider him a pretty good friend, and we talked a little bit about combative people and getting a slush on your back and down your butt crack, and some other cool stuff too. Getting in fights and, stuff like that, or almost getting in fights. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you do, or if you did, be sure to leave me 5 stars on iTunes and hit the subscribe button real hard. I'd appreciate that. All right, well, hope you enjoy the episode. Later.
My family don't see me more, that's growing up. And now they calling me C4, I'm blowing up. So if we sitting on seesaws, we going up. Some people get going, but I love it when the going's tough. Too young to know enough, too old to play the part. Too cool for showing up, too dumb to say what's smart. So I'm a substitute, waiting for the game to start. But I ain't trying to get played like change your heart. Chuck Woolery, I host and rip the stage apart. And hopefully you're willing to admit that I have made my mark. And may I park and find me another ride. I'm letting foreigners tell you how I feel inside.
Okay. Now we're back.
I wonder how far we got, though.
Are you... Make sure we're good. Okay, we're going again.
I was going to say, where did we leave off?
I have no idea.
Because you don't know where it cut in or out, or...
Yeah, so a little technical malfunction. We had like 10 minutes of solid material, and now it's just gone. If it does it again, we'll just
pick it up on the cell phone.
We'll have it on the cell phone.
I'll call you.
For real, that'd be the only way. Because I hate that it did that.
Oh, well. I think the last jumping off point, I don't know where it actually cut off, was you asked what made me want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah, what made you want to be a real estate agent?
Like I said, I have a little video that I upload on my Facebook page, and I always wanted to do it. When I was a kid, I used to want to be a cartographer, so I've always been obsessed with like maps and
cartographer. Yeah, okay,
like making maps. I used to sit in I remember like my parents' kitchen table,
just
like,
make maps,
making maps, like fake maps, or like city planning towns that never existed. Or
oh, really?
My dream has always been to own my own town.
That seems like an odd thing for a
I was like in
young
fourth
child
grade,
to do.
Like whenever I wanted to do that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So I've always been obsessed with like geography in general. And if you got any geography questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You're solid
them.
on geography.
Solid. Like what was that? The Quiz Up or Trivia Crack.
Yeah, I really like that game. That's where it dropped off the map, though, didn't it?
I had like 95% on geography.
Really?
Yeah. Everything else was like mid-80s,
yeah,
low 80s. And
50, and then
which one was like art was always
someone
70.
F with you on geography, though, dude.
Yeah, bring it. I always got the little blue world every time.
I was always pretty good at history. Like, before we got cut off, we were talking about how bad we were at math. Like, I was never good at math. Never good at math.
Yeah, me neither.
But I was always pretty good in English, and anything not to do with numbers, I was always pretty confident. I feel like it's pretty good. So, what was your video about? Like,
I was just it was just hey, I'm Todd. Everybody that's watching this obviously knows me already.
Right.
So this is why I got into real estate. It's kind of a shock to some of you people. Some of you was like, yeah, it's a long time coming.
Some of you thought I'd be drawing maps, but
I bought my first house, and I bought my first house when I was 18.
Did you really?
Yeah, I had great credit when I was a kid. I don't know how that happened, but I bought when I was 18. I thought I was gonna flip it. It was 2008. And that's when, like, right before
that was a great time to do it, right?
No, it wasn't.
I know.
Let's not kid ourselves. It was bad. I still own the house, and I still lose money on it. But
do you really still own it?
Yeah, it's a rent house. But
wait, is it paid for?
No.
Oh, so you're just paying?
That was a bad deal.
Okay.
Yeah, still paying it down. But yeah, you learn from your mistakes, I guess.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that. When I first got out of college, I was going to sell houses.
Yeah.
So it was like right around the same time you did. My dad owned a electrical contracting business, and so he sort of basically knew how to get a house started from start to finish.
Yeah.
Without, he knew the connections and whatnot. And I didn't know what I was going to do, and I was working for my dad at the time, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you try this?" The housing market was just coming back a little bit. It was like 2010.
Well, you can buy stuff cheap then.
Yeah, and so we and copper was really expensive too back that time, but that's irrelevant. So we built the house and was going to sell it, and had a real estate agent. I'm sure if we had someone like you, it'd already been gone, already been sold.
Done.
But so we I sat on it for a little while, never sold, and like 2 years later, I got engaged to my wife, and then me and my buddy moved in the house that I was going to sell, and lived in it, like a year before I got married.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the house we live in now.
Oh, really?
So it kind of worked out.
So it was 2 years without it selling?
Yeah.
Good night.
Something like
That's
that.
terrifying.
Yeah. But I think we had like gotten rid of 2 real estate agents, and it just, we weren't really pushing it super hard.
Right.
So, but I mean, now my house payment's like really cheap because
you got to pay down a little bit.
Right.
That's good.
So it's our house payment's way under $1,000 a month.
Well, good.
So that's
and rent is crazy high everywhere. I don't know what it is in Jonesboro.
Do you live in city or out of city?
I live in Stringtown.
Stringtown.
Exactly. No one else knows where it is.
I don't know what that is.
It's not really a town. It's a suburb of Poplar Bluff, if you can call it a suburb. It's a wide spot in the road that ends in a gravel road.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it have like a population?
There's no sign.
Yeah. So it's
there's a gas station with one pump. And
really?
Yeah.
Is it old school? You can't even like.
Yeah, it's old school.
You can't even like
she
hold
has to lean her head out the window and see who's pulling up. And then
really?
She'll give you the thumbs up to pump kind of deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's out in the woods, man.
There was a town, I think that got hit pretty hard by a tornado like a year or two ago, and I think it wiped this one store they had. It's called Kaiser, Missouri, and it's literally like I think they do have a population sign, but it's not, maybe like 50 people.
Yeah.
But it was one of those old school pumps to where like if you wanted to fill it up and just bounce, you could probably do that.
Yeah, you could do that in Stringtown, except they can see my house from the store.
So it would be kind of pointless.
Get back over here. Get back over here and pay your bill.
So you think you like your real estate?
Yeah, it's pretty fun, man.
I guess once you get going, I think you were telling me it's kind of one of them things. It's a slow starter until you kind of get
it is. It's a slow starter, and it's like any other job. As much as you want to work it, is how successful you'll be. I used to work in the car business too, and you have it was interesting. You have a lot of car salespeople that are happy with making $30,000 a year, and they don't push themselves beyond that. And then you have people that want to be a high performer. They'll make $100,000 a year
for real. Being a car salesman,
selling cars, and you can do it. But it's not.
Are you always grinding though?
You have to.
Really?
You have to show. You have to drive to Jonesboro to do podcasts. You gotta.
You gotta do all that kind of stuff.
You gotta drive out to. I drove an hour and a half out of our market to show a guy a house from St. Louis the other day.
Whoa.
Up in Annapolis. No, it was Arcadia Valley.
You think you'll close on it, or
no? We wrote an offer on it, but there was already an offer on it, so we wrote a backup.
What does that mean in layman's terms?
If theirs doesn't go through, we're the next in line. So
it's gonna go through probably.
I don't know. I never know. It's up to the bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm very much a layman when it comes to owning real estate or, whatever.
It's interesting. It's really interesting, real estate in general, because
I've heard that's owning real estate has made more millionaires than any other type of, not necessarily being a real estate agent, quote, but owning land is the biggest thing that.
No, I wouldn't say you become a millionaire being a real estate agent unless you're selling like houses in Malibu or
just
I guess in Austin, Texas or Seattle or something.
Or you're in a really populated suburb that's growing or something like that.
Stringtown? No.
Well, you know what I mean. Like if you were, technically.
I mean, you could make a killing that way, but at that point you have to have like a team, assistants, and stuff like that to really scale as an agent.
Really?
Now, as an investor, you can
That's probably what I mean, an investor.
Buy like rent houses, buy multi-unit apartment complexes
whatever.
and or flip houses and
Do they
stuff
make
like
pretty
that.
good money flipping houses?
Depends on how good you are.
Obviously, back in 2008, you weren't. You think you could do better now? Like, do you
Yeah,
look
yeah.
back and think, okay, here's the mistakes I made. This is
I know
what
all the mistakes.
Really?
Yeah.
But you were 18. I mean, like.
Oh man, I watched HGTV and I thought, man, these guys are buying these houses. If you buy them cheap enough, you can go in and fix them and sell them for a bunch of money.
How did you even get the money up front to do that? You just took out.
Just got a loan.
Really?
From the bank. I mean, they were giving everybody money in 2008.
That's true.
They gave an 18-year-old money.
That is
out
crazy.
of high school. Like,
what was your plan? Did you really think, oh, this is it? This is
I'm
what
gonna
I'm going to do?
So I bought it. Had some friends come over. And we painted it.
Yeah.
We painted the house. It made it look better instantly just by color.
And then it just didn't sell, period?
No, everything kept going down. I lived in it for a little bit with the intention to fix it up and sell it.
Right.
By the time I got done doing what repairs I did on it, it was just like, I can't sell this. not for what I'm going to have to take $10,000 to closing to get out of it. So, yeah, I can't do that.
It seems like it would be a very interesting gig to do, flip houses.
Like this morning, I woke up, took my kid to preschool, dropped him off, and I went and sat down at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And drank a bulletproof coffee. I don't know if you ever had those.
Yeah,
They're
I've
good.
heard that. I've never had one.
They're good.
It's good.
Yeah, and it's
Where do you get them?
Just, I don't know, a coffee shop.
Oh, really?
It's just a local place. Foxtrot
Is it just stronger
coffee.
Or something?
What is it?
It's bulletproof. Like you'd get shot today, and
I've been shot twice today, and I'm fine. No, I think there's like brain octane oil and grass-fed butter.
Oh yeah,
so
I've heard of those.
It tastes good, and it keeps you going. It keeps you going all day.
Really?
Yeah. So I did that. Went and sat down, took my little laptop, researched properties, and ran it. I always run into friends down there.
That's cool.
I ran into a couple guys that I'm looking for properties for, investing, and then if some friends of mine that I already know that you get to reacquaint yourself with. And one guy in particular, he works for a marketing and media company, so I always like to run into him and pick his brain about stuff.
Right.
So it's always good insight.
Yeah, I'm trying to get into the marketing side, obviously with my own business, but like that's ever evolving. It's just like it seems like if you miss a month, you're behind because there's just something new.
Yeah,
there's some new technique or whatever, but
the thing about it is you can always jump right back into it.
Yeah, that's true, but that's cool that you can just sort of do. I mean, you technically have a boss, but you kind of can make you work your own schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I suppose that was maybe an upside to
that is a selling factor for the job. But the double-edged sword about that is if you're not ambitious,
that's right.
You will sit on the couch at home watching Game of Thrones all day.
I
don't watch Game of Thrones, but
some sort of series.
Some people do.
Netflix and chill, just
and you can
forever.
Do it. You can do it and get away with it. And there's people that do, or they'll just go.
But they
go shopping all day and spend money.
But are they successful? I mean, like
obviously, if you're watching Game of Thrones all
probably
day,
not.
You're not raking in the dough.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much clout or how much people you've built up to. Maybe you can watch Game of Thrones after you've built a little tiny real estate empire or something.
Yeah, I guess you can. I don't know. It's never been my draw.
Or is it like a reoccurring thing to where you basically got to be grinding all the time?
You have to be grinding all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Which is fine. It's I'm wired to work a lot. Like
I can see that.
I've worked
you
jobs.
Seem very outgoing.
I guess I've worked jobs before. Like the job I worked before this, I worked at a car dealership, and we'd do 60 hours a week, and
that was nothing.
Yeah, then I'd get off work and go cut grass until it was dark, and then mow all weekend. So I've always had a mowing business too.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that.
My wife really hates that I work as much as
I do, my wife. That is a pot. Like I always tell people, like. I do like the fact that I own a business because, like, if I wanted to technically shut it down right now and walk out, I would.
Like, as soon as I got here, you said, "Hey, I'm gonna leave and go get pizza." So you put a sticky note on the door and walked out.
Right?
You gonna do that?
Yeah, like I can do that because I don't have no one telling me, you got to do this. That was one of the I don't know if you would say selling points. I don't know what word I would use. That was one of the things that
a draw. It drew you to.
Yeah, it was the draw. Because I never wanted to have someone telling me what to do if I didn't have to.
No, me neither.
So, But
You have to. It seems like whenever you work for yourself, you end up working twice as much, though.
yeah, I do. For the first 4 or 5 years, like I worked 6 days a week. You know, I just even if I wasn't busy, I was just there. I was present. You know,
Making yourself busy.
yeah.
That's
so,
what you have to do.
So yeah, but yeah, now it's I don't want to say the gears just sort of turn themselves, but like I know what I'm doing now, and it's just a matter of me showing up, and I don't have to figure out if I need to advertise more because I'm sort of more established now.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's with everything. I think with everything, the initial grind is the hardest part.
Yeah. It's
Would you say so?
What?
Would you say so?
Yeah. That's the exciting part too.
That is the exciting part.
I mean, it's always great to be able to create something, be able to start something from nothing.
Right.
And then it's the climb, it's the striving that that pushes you to continue to keep doing stuff. Or it does for me.
No, I agree. I think especially when you look back on something that you did work hard for, it makes it that much special to see where you are now, or where you could be, or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Like I used to ride a bicycle cross country.
Oh, did you?
And I would do like 250 miles a week or so.
Did you wear like the spandex and the?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, the padded crotch and all that stuff. Hey, you go ride 50 miles. Tell me how your butt cheeks feel.
My buddy, I can't really say much. He's got one of those spandex. It's almost like a spandex muscle shirt that is tied into shorts. Like it's all one piece.
The leotard.
Right? The leotard.
You wear like the jersey over it with the pockets in the back. Keep your Cliff Bar and your your hammer gel.
He had some serious, and I don't know if you experienced this. I mean, maybe something you don't want to talk about, but like he's like nuts were bothering him for a while.
Yeah, I was going to go a totally different direction when I brought bicycling up. I was going to say, speaking of the climb, when you ride a bike, say you go on like 100-mile ride,
right,
and you're exhausted at the end of it, but at the end of getting, like, you ride the 100-mile loop and you get back home and you did it. I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
Is once you've done it, no one's going to take those 100 miles away from you.
That's
no one's
true.
going to take the accomplishment, the drive you just had away from you.
Right.
Because people always talk about what they're gonna do, but until
you
actually do it. Because I can talk about the doo that I've done. I can talk about the 1,000 miles of bike ride miles that I've done,
right,
but I'm not gonna sit here and talk about I think I'm gonna get back on the bike and ride another couple of 1,000 miles, because that day will probably never come.
Right.
But I don't know about the guy's nuts. I really feel bad for him. His nuts were having a
like
problem.
he was telling me, he's like, man, I had to quit. I was like, why? He's like, man, my freaking, I don't know if it's his left or right, but he was like, man, my freaking nuts. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I went to the doctor and they just basically told him he had to, lay off for a while, because I guess it's something you run into.
He must not have been a good friend if he didn't tell you the left or right.
Yeah. I should have asked him. I'm like, show me. I'll tell you.
Which
I got
one,
a pretty
man?
good eye for those things.
No, I've never had those. I know people that have had like back trouble, or like sore, like you'll have wrist issues if you're not postured right on your bike.
Right.
And of course your butt cheeks hurt from sitting down.
For
but
50 miles, dude? Is
Yeah.
that what you said you did?
No, I mean, that'd be like an average ride.
50 miles?
I used to do 100-mile rides or
me.
75s, or just long
How long
rides.
does that take?
I don't know.
Half
usually,
a day, maybe?
If you go,
You just piss
20
all over yourself, or you
yeah,
pull
20
over to pee?
hold it in, man. You sweat it all out. You don't pee.
Seriously, though, what do? Do you pull over and just take a piss?
Yeah, if you gotta go. Usually you don't. I mean,
You just
you go
go.
before. You don't
Oh,
eat before.
okay.
You never eat before you ride a bike. You get sick.
Really?
Yeah, or at least that's my experience.
Well, I imagine.
You can eat while you're riding. It's got to be something that's easy digestible, though.
Yeah, you can't be like having like a filet mignon, like chewing on a filet mignon, like riding down the road or something.
No, something like the Cliff Bars. They break down pretty easy. Or like there's gels you can drink.
That makes sense. Just something you can snack on to give you that
Mhm.
little extra boost. I mean,
I didn't know I was going to be talking about cycling when I came in here, because I haven't done it in like 6 years. But
That's
yeah,
cool,
I used
though.
to ride a lot.
That's cool.
And your friends that cycle that listen to this be like, "Oh, he's so out of style. You don't even use those anymore." So
No, he does more of the mountain bike thing.
see, my buddy just got into mountain biking. He asked me to do a
No joke, he has, not to cut you off, but he has like a $3,000 to $5,000 bike. Like it's more than the vehicle he owns.
Yeah, I traded my first car for my first bike.
For real.
Well, not my first bike, my first good bike.
That sounds so silly. I rag him all the time. I'm like, dude, if you put that thing, if you put that thing on your vehicle, you realize you're carrying something that is more than your vehicle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a motor. It doesn't have anything.
I know people that have cell phones are worth more than their vehicles too.
That's probably true. Yeah.
So.
That's probably true.
But it was something that I really loved doing. Then I got, married or whatever.
Or whatever.
People complain about their wives and stuff, but no one really complains. I invest a lot of time into my family. So
that's good. I think that's missing from, in particular, our generation, which is like mid 90s to late 80s generation.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like that's what's neglected, I guess you could say. I don't know what I was trying to say.
We was talking about investing in family. One of the first things I did when I got my first commission check from selling a house, a lot of people would take that and go reinvest it back in their business.
And you bought a bike?
No, that was years ago. No, I took my wife on a kayak trip.
Oh.
Yeah, we just went kayaking on the Current River. Just something to do. I mean,
you bought some kayaks?
No, we just rented some up the Current River.
Went to. That's cool.
I forget what it was. Like, she's a CPA at a accounting firm up there in Poplar Bluff, and they were like updating their computers or something that day. And I could have went to work, went to the office, and got back on the grind or whatever.
Right.
But I said, hey, let's go look at some property in Van Buren. So took her along, and we packed our, swim trunks and stuff. I brought my fishing pole, and we went kayaking for the day. It was a good time.
Cool. Is she pretty outdoorsy? Does she like?
No.
Oh, really? Neither is my wife.
Her idea of camping is getting a good hotel.
Yes, that would be what my wife is too. I can't really say that I'm huge on it too. Like I always see, I don't know if it's like a hipster thing nowadays. It's sort of caught on, but it seems like everybody's wanting to do in the wilderness scene. Does that make sense?
I
everybody's wearing like Patagonia, and everybody's wearing
like you're never gonna climb.
Yeah, I know. Or you just go to a park for a day and take a selfie and then.
That's funny. We went to Elephant Rocks. Have you ever been there in Missouri? They're giant granite boulders. Like, it's a odd formation.
Yeah.
Just everything's eroded around them, and there's giant exposed granite boulders. And that's where me and my wife went over the weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Took some selfies. Chased the 3-year-old around, and that's what we did. But
that's cool, though.
I grew up doing that stuff. Like, my dad, we didn't.
I feel like there's a lot of posers now.
There was a girl on top of a boulder doing like a yoga pose, like leg up in the air, and her boyfriend, he fit the part, hipster part. He was like,
no, he wasn't.
Like taking pictures and candid shots. No. And then meanwhile, my 3-year-old's running wild.
Yeah.
He's like, he looked irritated that we were in the shot. But my wife didn't even notice it. She was just, just
if that had
enjoying
been
the
me,
moment.
I would have like walked past it and like with my pants down or mooned somebody.
No, I'm not like that, man. But growing up, that's what we did. Like, we didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, but my parents always like made sure we had a good time.
Yeah.
We didn't go to Disney World. We'd go camping here.
That's cool. That sounds like my wife's upbringing.
Would go to like a state park or just the cool stuff. So we grew up outdoors. I spent so many hours in tents and outside and stuff. So I've kind of got away from it once I got older.
You think you'll take your boy into that sort of?
Yeah,
scene?
yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
I take him fishing and all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome.
So we live out in the country, so it's easy to do.
Right. I was about to say,
just walk outside and you're in the country.
Yeah, I was about to say, where you grew up, there was not a lot to do. I mean, it's not like next to a big city. I mean, I guess it's fairly close, but not like
Poplar Bluff is like, I think, population 20,000.
So yeah,
county has 40.
You're not getting crazy or anything.
No. We just got an Ulta though.
Oh, nice. Stepping up. Ulta is in...
It's a makeup place.
Yeah, I was about to say. For some reason, I guess it was like a year ago, like I've had the same haircut, the haircut that I have now for like forever. And I I decided to get a haircut a different way, and I went to Ulta to get some of this stuff that slicks back my hair, and
That's cool.
yeah, and yeah, it's so stupid. And then I just went back to my normal haircut. It's like one of those undercuts where you like,
Oh yeah.
where you trim the sides really short and then like leave the top long and then like swoop it back. So I wanted to
did
be
one
like
of
a
those?
greaser type deal.
You did
Yeah,
one?
but
Oh,
I
man.
wasn't like, it wasn't like super like greaser like like
So you looked like Macklemore, is what you're saying?
yeah, I guess it was kind of that style, but it wasn't like, obviously it wasn't blonde and it didn't look wet, but
Oh, so not like the
it
Brad
was
Pitt
totally
and Fury.
yeah, that's what it looked like.
That's what you're going for?
That was what I was going for. Yeah, that's
See, my hair doesn't do that. My
Yeah.
wife gave me the. I say my wife. My wife gave me the Republican comb over part down the side.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad though.
That's the look I've been.
That's the
going
look you've
with
been
for
sporting.
the past 6 years. I love it.
Yeah. What did you have before then? Just a buzz?
I used to have dreadlocks. I think
Yeah,
I
you told me that.
Back in high school, I had dreadlocks.
I cannot even picture that. On
I've
your
had
head,
every
dude.
kind of hairstyle, man. I used to have a mohawk when I was a kid. I used to have the bowl cut, the undercut
Dude,
bowl cut all the way around.
I had a mean bowl cut back in the day. I
We'll
think
compare-
every '90s kid had a bowl cut.
We'll
though.
compare bowl cut pictures from the.
We need to
elementary
because
school.
I've got. I mean, it looks like a bowl was set on my head.
Yeah, I got it. My hair used to be pinned straight and had the best bowl cut.
Yep.
Had like the part, the shag, I had a buzz cut at one point.
Oh,
and
really?
then it's just kind of evolved into. I guess I'm an adult now, so I
Yeah,
better
you better
straighten
comb
it
it
up.
to the side a little, look a little more
Comb it to the
professional.
side. When I go to my barber, I tell him I want which I know he's a good friend of mine, but jokingly, I want to look Republican, but I don't want to look like an old Republican.
Right.
I'm like more toward the middle. It's like I got you, fam.
Give me the centric cut, the centric Republican cut.
But yeah,
I did the shag. That was I say I've had the same haircut. When I was a kid, I had the bowl cut, and then once I got like in 9th grade, like all of our friends decided we wanted to grow our hair out. It was like,
it was cool.
yeah, I guess there was a certain period of time where it was cool, but like I grew my hair out, and it was like over my ears, and it just looked dumb because I feel like my head's kind of big. Like it's not super big, but it's like
Now your shoulders are big enough to support that.
maybe
head,
that's I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that, but like I look back on some of those pictures and I'm like, oh, what an idiot. I feel like everybody does that though.
Of course we do.
You know?
If you didn't, people think you're a psychopath
That's
or
true.
something. Like,
Yeah.
wait, like you
I
think
do
that's
look back
normal?
on the bowl cut and think that was pretty cool. Maybe that's just because I was young and
yeah.
you know.
It's the sign of the times to have wild hair
Yeah.
or whatever.
But I feel like everybody.
Now, if you didn't grow out of stuff like that,
If I kept the shag or the bowl cut, yeah, then we got some
Or-
serious.
or continued along that path to where you're just being wildly experimental with your hair and
Yeah, but I feel like some people never grow out of that. You know,
stuff.
they're
those
always
are the cats you got to watch out for.
definitely. Yeah, you definitely don't want to. They are the real estate agent that doesn't make any money. They're
Yeah.
just chilling on the Netflix all the
Yeah.
time, eating Hot Pockets in their mom's basement or something.
I don't think I know any of those, but I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they are out there.
Not in small rural communities. Those don't exist.
Yeah,
They
probably
don't
not.
make it far.
So did you have like a backup plan, or you just like once you decided to go down that sort of real estate path, that's what you wanted to do?
No, once I set my mind to it, that's what I'm doing.
Really?
See, we
Well, I mean,
Oh.
right before that, what were you doing? Selling cars?
right before that, I worked. No, I wasn't a car salesman at
Oh.
the time. I worked at a dealership. I worked in the service side of stuff. So
Oh,
whenever you had a complaint about your car,
you were the guy.
I
bet that was
the one
annoying as
Oh my!
shit.
You have no idea. I caught a slushy on my back one
Oh
day.
no way!
Ticked off customer hit me in the back of the head.
Are you kidding?
No, it was wildly entertaining.
They
It escalated from there.
so
but
they opened the top and threw it on you, or they just threw the whole drink?
I turned around to go get their vehicle after they were confrontational, and I just got hit in the back of the head by a Route 44
Dang!
slush.
So it wasn't even a small. It was
No,
like
it
Route
was a
44.
big boy. Yeah,
Wow! What did you say? What can you
I'll be-
say?
I kept
Did you ever say God bless? Have a good
immaculately
day.
cool. I mean,
That's good.
no, it was so cool. It was eerie for all my coworkers.
Really?
Like I wouldn't have taken that. And like they were ready to fight. These guys wanted to get outside and like throw down.
And you just gave them
And
like
my
a
boss
flyer to your
picked my-
church.
No, I made them sign the release on their form, like slushy dripping down my butt crack and everything.
Really?
Like, you're gonna have to sign this to release your vehicle, saying you don't want these repairs to be done.
Oh
And he
my
was
God.
heated, and they wanted to come out and fight and all this stuff. It was wild. But my boss
Were you a
showed
little
me that-
nervous? That's probably a little shook up. I mean, I feel like I'd be a little shook
Dude, I don't know how I kept it so cool. I mean, it was
So you
like
look back on that and you
it
think,
was like Buddhist monk chi.
really?
Like,
So
I
you were
don't-
straight up Zen mode for a little while.
Yeah, and then like after it was all said and done, I'm like, that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But my boss played it back on the video. He's like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
You probably could.
I said I got this release signed though, so if
Yeah.
he has any issues, it's
Boom,
not on
set that on
us.
the desk.
Yeah, he's like, I'm impressed.
You probably could have, I mean, technically you probably could have filed charges. Have been pointless. You wouldn't.
Oh yeah, they asked me if I wanted to.
Really?
It was an assault charge, because they threatened to like shoot us up and all kinds of stuff.
For
so-
real.
Yeah, it got wild. It got hasty. But
What kind of vehicle was it? It's probably like a Buick,
it was
98 Buick or
No, it
something.
was a red Chevy Cruise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't forget those cars. He had an MC Lars hat on, if you know who that is.
Uh-uh.
He's a nerdcore rapper.
Really?
Exactly.
I don't even know what that
No one
is.
else. It's in the same cloth as like ICP or MC Chris or any of these
Okay.
other Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, yeah.
For all these initials I'm throwing around.
ICP. That's,
But,
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Insane. Okay, I got you.
It was a rough crowd, but
You talked about getting a. I've done some stupid stuff. If you've listened to any of my podcasts,
a little bit.
some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So you talked about getting a Slurpee on the back of your head. One night, when I had probably been dating my wife, Mesa, for like a few months. This is how crazy. Like I look back on this and think how stupid it was. But like we had went to like the one gas station in town. I think it was called like the Iron Skillet, but they had like
Sounds
really
good.
good food there too.
Yeah, of course.
It was
Greasy
called
potatoes and
Petro.
stuff.
That's what it was called. It was called Petro. It's a really big gas station, and it had on it was the Iron Skillet, which they made all kinds of good food.
So it was a combo job.
It's a combo job. It was like one of these big gas stations where like truckers went. And so we went in there one day, and we got these really big slushies. And like I said, we had been dating probably a month, 2 months. And it was like right around the time where we both sort of had to go back to our own apartments.
Yeah.
And so we're standing outside, and like she's got her slushie, I've got mine. And we're standing there, and like we're hugging each other, and like we're still holding the slushies, you know?
Yeah.
And so I hug her, and I was like, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. And like, and she's like, okay, love you too. And like, as we're about to leave, like I opened the back of her pants.
On purpose?
Yes, I opened the back of her
Oh,
pants and
man.
poured her red slushy
And
all
she
the way
stayed
down her
with
butt
you.
crack. Yeah.
She stayed with you.
Yeah, she stayed with me, but like, she was like, oh my gosh, what, she's freaking out. And then she like threw her slushy on me. And then, I don't know, I just look back on some of the stuff,
And that might have been what made you guys get married.
Yeah,
like it could have.
yeah,
Like
she was
you
like,
could have had
"He's
like a
pretty,
boring relationship up to that point, and then like you're like, this guy's interesting.
Yeah, that's what tipped me over the edge, I guess. But it was never a dull. I don't know.
No.
It was never a dull moment. But yeah, I still do sometimes. But when we first got married, I would always come home after her, so she would always get home before me.
Yeah.
And like she would basically get in the shower around the same time, like right as I was getting home. And so like she would be in the shower, and
You're a prankster, aren't you?
I am bad, dude. And so like I would get in and sneak in, and she's like singing in the shower or whatever, and I'm like, I'm like out of the movie Psycho,
Oh,
where I
boy.
open the curtain and you got the knife or whatever. But I didn't never do that.
My wife caught a pair of underwear in the face one day doing that. She thought she'd sneak up on me when I got out of the shower.
Oh yeah.
I come around the corner and she just scared me, and I had underwear in my hand and she caught him in the face. She almost caught the. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. It was just reactionary.
You just
Threw
threw
her in
it
the
there?
face, and like I almost knocked her out because I was about to throw hands with her. I didn't know. I just came out of the shower and there was a face in front of me. And it happened to be her. So
But yeah, I'd always scare her. One day, that's a great segue. One day, she got home after me. I was already in the shower. This was like, I don't know. We hadn't been married that long, and I heard her come in, and I already had the shower going. I was like, I know what you're
Uh-oh.
gonna do. I know what you're gonna do. So, like, if you walk in our bedroom, there is the closet to my left, and then to my right is the bathroom. So they're like right across from each other. So I am kneeling in our stand in closet, butt ass naked.
Dripping wet.
I'm naked, and like I see her creep around the corner, and she's about to, jump in and scare me in the shower.
She thought she was
She
going
thought
to
it was
get
gonna
you.
get me, and I was like,
Little did she.
"Wah!" I'm like a freaking wild monkey jumping around naked, and she's like, "Oh my god!" She started freaking out.
See, I always see these the prank wars things on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah,
and
some of them seem so fake.
I never want to get involved in any of that.
Yeah,
Like,
once they start, yeah. But my
Yeah.
wife is, I think she knows that I would just take it up to a level that's so like we'd probably get a divorce because I'd take
see,
that so
likewise,
high.
and that's why I don't want to just get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
So it's better to just cut your losses and apologize.
That's probably true. But yeah, that was I hadn't scared her in a while because
Well,
number
it is
one,
about Halloween, so
yeah, I guess it's getting about that time. But she's pregnant, so
don't do it.
yeah, I can't really do
Early
it.
birth and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can't do it.
How far along is your wife?
She's we have a son. I told you he's 2,
Mhm.
and then I'm having a little girl, and she is due November 28th. So at the time we're shooting this, it's practically tomorrow, is what it feels like.
Wow, yeah,
I've sort of been putting it off in my head, like, because my boy is 100% boy, and like
yeah.
he's like,
I got one too.
so you know all about like it's like nonstop from the moment they wake
Mhm.
up,
Yeah,
until
I mean it is
for real.
That's exactly how it is. Like the instant he wakes up, it's go.
It's go time. Does your wife mainly get to stay at home, or does she have to go in the office most of the time?
No, she used to be a stay-at-home CPA,
Right.
which is a really sweet gig.
That sounds like a
So-
sweet kick.
So right after she had our child, she of course took the leave,
Right.
and they let her stay home because most of her clients are out of state, or they were at the time. So she got to stay home, and she would watch our kid from home, and then she would like send them to like a daycare, just an in-home
But
daycare.
then you're paying a lot for the daycare.
Yeah, but it was worth it for sanity's sake.
Right. Yeah.
But so yeah, but she had now started going back to the office just a couple months ago.
Uh-huh.
And she's getting back in the swing of the things. And
Right.
Because I have a more flexible job now, so she had a
Yeah.
flexible job before, and I worked.
So you can bounce in when you're
Which
needed.
I think a while ago you asked something like, "What were you doing directly before you started real estate?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then we always get sidetracked,
my bad.
of course. But she was taking her CPA test, which I've never seen anybody take it, but just the material in general is way over my head.
Yeah, it'd be more
Like,
in my head too.
I mean, it is. I don't know what to equate it to because it's like nothing I've ever seen
Right.
anybody
It's
have
like
to
some
study
sort
for.
of high quantum physics test. or
Yeah,
something
yeah, it's a
crazy.
different language for sure for me. So she would lock herself in a room for like 5 or 6 hours a day. Like
Whoa.
we have a home office. Like
There's no way I could study that long.
I don't.
I would be on
I-
YouTube or something like that.
Oh yeah, I definitely YouTube. And then she would go lock herself in the room and then just concentrate and do it. And I became like number one dad. Like
Yeah.
I would start cooking, cleaning, taking care of our kid because she would work her 40 to 60 hours a week and then go study 20 to 40 a week on top of it. And then no
Whoa.
social life. This is what we did because this is what we knew we wanted to do. She was
Right.
going to get a better job.
Grinding it out.
And then that allowed me to jump into a more high risk job. Now that she had a high floor, I could go
Right.
take a risk
That
doing
makes
real
sense.
estate.
So
So
get
it was
her feet planted, and that allowed you to.
yeah, we were both fine. She had
Yeah.
a good accounting job for like 9 years, and I had a good paying job at the dealership. But I mean, then we kind of decided, is this what we want to do?
Right.
Kind of deal, or do you want to do more?
Yeah.
So we discussed it, and we wanted to do more, and it was a lot of work. I don't know how she did it. I have no idea.
Really?
Because
That sounds. So she worked for a practice
Mhm.
herself, or does she want to
she-
own one?
she works with
someday, or-
she works with the firm. Yeah.
That takes a lot of the stress off, I bet.
Yeah, it does. Takes a lot of the overhead and worry out of it. But so I decided I always want to do real estate, and she's like, "Well, if you let me do this, we'll do a trade-off kind of deal."
That makes
so,
sense.
So after seeing her do the CPA exam takes like 2 years for most people to do. She did it in 10 months,
10
which is
months.
crazy.
Because you got to
I-
remember all sort of, I guess laws vary depending on the state
Yeah,
and
yeah.
whatever.
Well, it's your license in the state of
Sure,
Missouri.
yeah.
There's like a federal level you have to take, but there's also
I'm
the
sure that's
state level.
crazy, isn't it?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
don't
didn't
know
get
either.
any of it. Like she was reading it on the way because you can't take the test in Poplar Bluff, of course. You got to drive to Springfield or St. Louis. So it's like a 2.5-hour drive. So she's studying on the way,
Whoa.
just reading out loud. I'm like, honey, I don't know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I'm here for
I'm
you,
here, baby.
kind of deal. So she did that, and then so I'm like, if she can lock herself in a room, I'm gonna do the same.
Really?
And that's what let me knock my real estate thing out.
So
in
I'm
like
just gonna-
20 days.
20 days.
Yeah, it's 20 days from.
How
time
big
I've-
is that book? Is it a book?
The real estate exam? It's all online. I mean,
Oh, really?
they send you can buy the.
I
book,
guess
but I'm a
I guess
cheapskate.
what I'm trying to say is like the material you have to study. It's online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they go through like online courses, and it's timed. You have to put in the time. They won't let you do it. You can't test out of it. You have to.
And it's
actually
all
do it.
memorization type stuff.
A lot of it. I mean, you're supposed to learn it too.
Right. But once
But-
I think with anything, once you get in that trade, you sort of learn more than as if you did. Like, I don't know. Like I grew up around, my mom's business. I don't know if you know, my mom owns a bridal shop.
I know nothing about your family.
Yeah. So
except your dad's an electrician that burnt himself or something.
yeah.
And your mom's like the sweetest lady in the world.
Yeah.
From what I hear.
Yeah. So my mom has owned a bridal and formal shop for 30 years. And when I got out, when I got out of college, I started working for my dad, and I just knew that I didn't want to go down that, being an electrician. I just knew that that's not what I wanted to do. And this one company offered to basically put on a wing to her shop that just solely did tuxedos. They wanted her to add,
Okay.
a business, onto that. And then she sort of pitched the idea to me about, if that'd be something I'd be interested in, is just starting my own.
Yeah.
And I knew that I didn't want to work with her because we would just clash.
Yikes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing like we just think differently. And anyway, so I basically took out a loan and found a spot and started it, knowing a little bit, but like, you just learn so much more on what to do, what not to do. Like, I don't know. I've got crazy stories of how, I would have handled, customers differently or whatever, just sort of the psychological aspect. Like, I feel like, you deal with people on a regular basis, but
yeah,
retail is definitely, I don't know. You got to have a thick skin, I guess.
You do. When I started at the dealership, I started washing cars. I'm like, I want to be a salesperson. I'm like, whoa, how much sales experience do you have?
Yeah.
None. Well, let me sell
So
some
you were
cars.
thinking, I can do this. I can talk.
Yeah, I can do this. So they're like, well, wash cars and do this and that for a year, and we'll move you up.
Right.
So in 9 months, they moved me up.
Yeah.
And then trial by fire. Man, you get told no.
Really?
No. Yeah, and you get thick skin or you quit.
That's what you
So,
have to do. I mean,
yeah.
like,
So I developed some thick skin and started managing at the dealership, which was an entertaining job because then you get to deal with customers and people
oh, really?
and all the customers that all your coworkers got ticked off at everybody.
Right.
So you got to do the heat cases too. And then it went from that to from management to the service side of stuff. So then you got the real heat cases. My tire's flat because of you.
Oh, my
And I'm like, that's
God.
not, it's not. I didn't go flatten your tire, ma'am. Like,
Right.
But we'll fix it for you.
Yeah. I had this one. Most of the time, like, you talked about going like Zen mode. Like, most of the time when I deal with people, I just shut off the emotions. Like, I'm pretty good at that. And I don't know if that's because I've studied, philosophy or psychology, but I feel like that's helped me a little bit. But like if somebody comes at me at a 10, like, I never act like.
You never want to meet aggression with aggression.
No, because you just, if you just mimic what they do, it's never going to solve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they come at you at a 10, if you come back at them at a 10, it's not going to do anything.
Right.
You're just wasting energy and wasting time. Like, I always act like it's never a problem. Like, even if I feel like
exactly.
it's a problem, I always act like, this can be, solved. And I feel like that's how you should just be in, unless it's something really serious, that's how you should be in all your interactions with people, especially when they want to argue. They just, I don't know. They can never come back at you and say you said this or did that.
Right.
But
yeah, you got to live your life like you're always being recorded, because nowadays you might be
possibly
being
could
recorded.
be, yeah. I'll give you a really quick story. I don't want to talk over you or anything, but the one situation to where like I don't look back on it and think, man, I wish I would have done something differently. This one guy had come in and he was complaining about his tux not fitting. Well, I didn't measure this guy. He called in his measurements, and he come in the Friday before the wedding. The wedding was Saturday, the next day. So he picked up his stuff, and Saturday when I opened, the day of the wedding, he was like, "Man, can you fix this and this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can do that. I'll just have to charge you, a little bit since I didn't measure you. I'm gonna have to fix somebody else's mistake." He just could not wrap his mind around that.
Couldn't hang.
He could not wrap his mind around that. And I was like, "Man, think about it like this: if I called something into you, and you were to fix it, I would expect for you to charge me because
you weren't going to charge the guy an arm and a leg.
No, he was just needing some pants fixed. It was $10. I said, "Man, it's just going to take me $10 just for my time. I'm fixing somebody else's mistake." I said, if I would have done this, it wouldn't have been a big deal at all. I'd have been totally cool with it. And he was like, "What the, this place is, shit, and I can't believe it." He just started freaking out. Like he literally, he dropped the F word just out of nowhere. I mean, like,
somebody brings an MF into the conversation. It changes the
changes
dynamic.
it, dude. And like, I was having such a hard time. Like, I was trying to keep it zen, and he just kept on. And then I was like, "Well, let me call my seamstress, and she'll be up here in a little while." And my mom, she can hem pants really fast, so that was my quote unquote seamstress.
Let me call my mom.
Yeah, so
drop that.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I was like, "Let me call my seamstress." So I wasn't even gonna mention it to her.
Yeah.
She came in and she was like, what we need to do is like, "Well, we need to hem these pants to these guys." And I'm like, typically, wouldn't you charge somebody? Because I was just checking with her too. I'm like, typically, wouldn't you charge for somebody if you had to, fix somebody else's mistake? If they could. She was like, "Yeah," and she was like, "Yeah, typically, $10 or something like that." And he was like, "Well, aren't you just being a smart ass?" I mean, he just lost it, and my mom was like, really taken back.
Like, what?
And then he kind of got hostile with my mom, and
whoa, bro.
Yeah, that was where I drew the line real quick.
Yeah.
So he was like, there was like a wall that separated my old business, so like you had to walk around the wall to where like the ironing board was. So she was fixing his pants.
Yeah.
And she got done, and I'm like, I'm gonna take this stuff out to his vehicle, because I don't want anything to happen in the store. I'm just gonna escort him out. And he was like, "Hand me my effing stuff. I'm gonna tell everybody, never to come back to this place and blah blah blah." I'm like, "Sir, I'm just gonna tell you, I'm taking your stuff out." And at this time, I was pretty jacked, pretty muscled up. And as we're walking out, like, he nudges me and tries to jerk it out of my hands, and like I just something snapped where I lost it. We were like right next to a vehicle, so I pushed him down onto the vehicle, and he got up in my face, and I was like, "Let's go, man. I'm ready to go now.
Let's do it,
Let's go
man.
right now." And he was like, "Oh, I got you now. I got you all on video and all this other stuff, and I'm gonna freaking, sue you and all this other crap." So he calls me that Monday, and he's like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. These are your two options." This is what he told me.
Oh boy.
You can either, have me not pay for the tux, or I've got a brother who works at so and so network, whatever, and he said he'd be more than happy to do a story on this and all this other stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, those are my two options." I said, "Well, I think I'm going to go with option number 3. I said, "You're not getting any money back. And I didn't, but I was like, I've got cameras all in this room of you acting like a lunatic and cursing my seamstress out and all this other stuff." And he was like, "Oh, that's fine. I talked to my lawyer about that, and he said you did assault me." And I was like, "Well, you do what you got to do, man. You're not getting any money back." Last time I ever heard from him.
Did you get your suit back?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a couple different dynamics that seem.
Yeah,
with
he
the
had already
story.
brought back his stuff. Here's what
Like-
had happened, though. He left his sunglasses when he was making a scene. So he wanted his sunglasses back.
thickens.
So I guess that was why he probably...
Yeah. Were they like Oakley oil rig glasses?
They were probably dumb.
Please tell me they were.
They were probably Oakleys or something. I don't know what they were.
That's fun. A couple different dynamics to this story, Seth. All this over $10.
All this over $10. For real,
And-
dude.
And then for you to, or not you.
Well,
I mean, for the conversation to arise, like
it should have never came to that.
Yeah, it should have never came up. Like $10, okay, I can eat $10. Like at some point, you got to realize.
But I wasn't going to back down.
Yeah, but at what point do you realize that like this is going to get to where it's going to go? You don't know until
You
it's
don't know,
there.
and like,
Until you're holding
and
his head over
I
the
wouldn't
hood
have
of the car.
been. I wouldn't have probably even charged him if he wouldn't have came in sort of negative and hostile and just
Mhm.
sort of irritated to begin with. Like I probably wouldn't have even done anything. But he just came in sort of condescending, like fix these freaking pants, you know.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, game on, man,
Yeah,
let's go.
$10 for that. I mean,
But I did notice, like, you called your mom to fix something for you, and she's like, "Oh, no problem, I'll fix this in like 2 minutes."
yeah, yeah. Well,
The tables turned.
she was actually in Jonesboro, and I was like, you know, this guy's being a freaking, like, I could have fixed him, but she's really quick at it, and I just kind of wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, she could fix her phone and stuff too.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
It's 2 minutes for you.
Yeah, we kind of help each other out, but luckily nothing happened. So yeah, I guess you hadn't had any situations where besides that one where you had to throw down, maybe in
Man,
school.
Oh yeah, I've thrown down at school a few
Have you?
times. Yeah, growing up. See, a lot of the situations, especially negative situations, I don't dwell on, don't remember them, don't care.
Right.
They happen, they're gone.
It's like water
So-
off a duck's back.
Exactly. I've used that expression before.
Yeah.
Which is funny because my wife is like, "You're emotionless." I'm like, "That's not true."
N-
Like,
well, I mean,
I just don't let stuff get
you
to
don't,
me.
you can't care about it.
And you don't. Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to, like, I always look at it as, you know, they're not, like, I'm not going to remember this literally a week from now. So what's the
No.
point in investing my my mental energy into it? You know,
Yeah.
like, why
And
would
then,
I even worry about
Like
it?
recanting situations like that usually get you down. I mean, you can have a laugh at it in the future,
Right.
because in
Yeah, I do
hindsight,
laugh
it is
at it
kind of
now.
like that is ridiculous, and you can talk about it and laugh, or you can even learn from stuff. But
Right. Which is what I feel, I feel like happened. So
yeah. So I was reading this book, actually listening to it on audiobook. It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's a good learning experience. And what he was doing is about just keeping calm in every situation.
Right.
He uses his late night DJ voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he keeps it real cool. And the book is about a FBI hostage negotiator who's in terrorist and hostage situations internationally and here at home.
Abroad.
Yeah. And he has all these different tips and
Techniques.
tricks and techniques about, and he has converted them to the sales side of stuff. So he's teaching you how
So you're trying to pick up on some
how
of
to
that stuff?
negotiate. So he does mirroring. So
That works, dude.
he will, which I haven't been doing it to you in this interview or
Right.
podcast or whatever.
Well, some of it's unconscious, though.
Yeah. And so what you'll do is you'll say the last few important things that the other person said, and then it draws more information out of them. They'll elaborate, and then you can collect that data and then use it against them however you want later.
Right.
But there's like, I listened to it. It's like an 8-hour audiobook, and I
Wow.
listen to it on drives to like negotiations to show a house and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, I'm going to use this technique.
That's
and then
cool, dude.
they all work. It's crazy.
They do.
And they don't even
Yeah.
realize they're being,
It's totally unconscious.
yeah.
When two people feel, I read this one book called Subliminal, which talks about all the, he's a neuroscientist, and he talks about all these things that we do that are just, that we don't register on a conscious level.
Mhm.
But like,
Who wrote that?
his name is Leonard Mlodinow. Mlodinow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Did you read it or you listen to it?
I read it.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, read it cover to cover. I read quite a bit. I read a lot. No, so he was talking about how when people feel comfortable with each other, they tend to mirror their, like, body language tends
Yeah.
to mirror each other. So like right about the time I was reading it, I just started noticing it everywhere. Like my wife was talking
yeah.
to somebody one time, and we were at think we were at like Walmart or something, and she was talking to a friend. They were both leaning on their carts and both had their legs crossed.
Yeah.
And they were just talking to each other. And that just basically showed that they were both comfortable with each other.
Yeah.
Or another thing that he talked about all kinds of stuff, but these are just the little things I remember. So like when somebody's setting, and they have maybe their legs crossed, but one of their legs is pointing the other way from you.
Mm-hmm.
That means that they're not really being receptive or they're not open. So like if
Let me check my posture.
check your posture. Or like you ever notice like someone's hands on the door and you're still talking to them, like they're sort of already checked out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And you can do that in sales intentionally if you want to move a conversation a certain direction.
Right.
Just ease toward the door and they'll follow you. And they always did that on the car lot and stuff.
Right.
Like instead
you
of
could pick up on when they were not feeling it or when they were.
Yeah, you can pick up when you're not feeling it. And you can also guide people in certain directions in conversation too.
Right.
Just instead of sitting there and hashing it out in the parking lot with them.
Yeah.
Hey, follow me. And then you don't ask them to follow you. Follow me. You go inside, you get to your computer, and then you got them. I mean, like it's not like you're trying to pull something over their head and club them, but
half the work is done.
Yeah, you want to continue the dialogue, but you want to continue it when you have your resources, your
computer,
you want to build
a rapport with that person before you try to sell them on.
There's a lot of different layers to salesmanship, and
all that stuff's really interesting to me.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's interesting to you.
It is. As far as studying it, I mean, like you study it and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And then you forget it. And then you go out and you subconsciously do a lot of it.
You retain the stuff that you might not have thought you did or something.
And good salespeople do it naturally too.
It's crazy that some people that you see some people and maybe you read on certain techniques and you notice that they do it and they probably never even read anything.
Exactly. That's why I say naturally do it. And then a lot of it will come to light once you're reading a book. You're like, I do that. Like, I did not know that about myself. Yeah. And you're already doing it, but you didn't know you were doing like some advanced psychological technique.
Some sort of psychological warfare to draw them in.
I'm not like a psychological combatant or anything like that.
No.
It's just an interesting subject and topic.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, it's their decision whether or not they want to purchase whatever you're pitching. But it's funny because like when somebody comes into my shop and wants to pick something out, like let's just say I have a predetermined idea of what I think's best, okay?
Yeah.
And I can tell that they're not feeling that or whatever. Like they'll say, well, I like this or whatever. And I'll say, well, yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking too.
Yeah, like the lady that just came in here.
Whether it was or whether it wasn't. You know, like ultimately I don't care. It's up to...
Don't say that.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Like, I want them to get what they want to get. It'd be silly for me to try to talk them out of something that they like.
Yeah.
That'd be pointless. Like, I don't understand why some people that aren't good at sales or something, like, why you would try to talk somebody out of something that they obviously are wanting. Yeah. Like, you'd say, unless you just knew that, they were trying to be combative or even that, like, I don't know why you do that. But
some people are wired differently. But every call is a call for help. No one calls you to, like,
right.
I'm just going to call you and give advice on your layout of your shop. So, just, I think your tuxes should be in a different arrangement.
Right.
You have them just laid out in this pen. No one's calling you for that. They're going to call like, I want to get a suit for my husband. We're having a wedding. I don't know what colors to pick. Like the girl that just came in here and interrupted the podcast.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they wanted. And you didn't really care what they wanted, but you wanted to help them out.
Yeah,
in a way that helped them.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. You're selling them on something, and you made it so easy for them just now. And they were. How long were they in here? 4 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take that long. It doesn't take that long.
Yeah, because you're a great salesman.
I don't know about that, but
see, that's what all good salesmen say.
Well, I just try to. I don't know. I've just been doing it for so long. Like, and most of the time, when people come in here or something like that, they usually know. Kind of what it is they want. It's just sort of it's my job to sort of just point them in the direction that they're already thinking, I feel like that's sort of with any sort of sales thing, like if you're selling real estate, in my mind, like they probably have an idea of what sort of something they're looking for. It's your job to just sort of guide them in that direction,
That's what I
or figure out what it is that they're talking about so you can guide them in that direction.
That's what I brought up in our meeting. We have like a big company meetings and stuff every week.
I bet those are fun.
They're interesting. They get interesting for sure. So they're like, "Oh, you had sales experience before. What can you tell us?" I said,
Right.
"Well, I mean, like, I'm not really a salesman. I'm not going to sell this house to you. I mean, there's a series of steps that you follow to sell a house, and
Mhm.
my job is to go from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and eventually you end up with a house. So it's you never like Alec Baldwin's always be closing. Or
Always be
Coffees
closing.
for closers.
Yeah.
But no, it's not.
What movie is that?
What is it? Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
He's not talking about
Always be closing.
Yeah, I have a different philosophy on it, which I'm not Alec Baldwin either, but and it's just go through the steps, go through the motions, and you'll as long as you know the steps and know the direction you're going to end up where you want to be. And you don't have
Right.
to twist people's arms to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That is a great movie scene though, where some people are like that though. Like that's all they care about.
Yeah,
It's just
like they will twist your arm to
Just
get you in
do
that
it,
car, to get
yeah.
you in that house.
I feel like that the best salespeople know how to tap into every emotion that you have,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So, like, if you're like, they can pick out what type of personality a person has and mold their whole pitch to that personality.
see, I'm not a chameleon in that regard. I can't do that. You have to
Can't
play
be a
your
sociopath.
No, you have to play your strengths. And there's people that are like type A, type B, type C, or whatever, and like can pinpoint that person and then play angles off of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all that stuff.
No, you kind of got to feel it out.
And you just kind of, I don't know the different types of people. I just, you know people well enough to communicate with them.
Right.
Like
No,
I didn't know you. Like I guess we follow each other on social media.
Yeah.
And we've kind of known each other
We
for
had
the last
some
few years.
interactions.
But I've never
Get a
met
feel
you.
of
This
it.
is the first time I've met you.
Right.
And it, it's not hard to sit down and have a conversation with somebody.
No, it's really not. I mean, like, I feel like that's what a lot of people are scared of is ultimately the unknown of what should I say or what shouldn't I say or whatever. But ultimately, it's just I think here's my idea: like everyone has a story or stories, and all you got to do is once like you get talking, is just pull those out. They're there.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody has a story or something interesting to talk
Yeah.
about.
That's true.
In my opinion.
That's actually what the podcast I'm going to start is sort of loosely based off of. I have notes here. I'll show you.
Oh, really?
But yeah.
What are your ideas?
I don't know how much I should share with you.
No, go ahead, dude.
I'm
not gonna steal it.
No. Yeah, right. But it's more than meets the eye. Like I instead of I, the letter I.
Okay.
Like that's what it's going to end up being called.
Cool.
And basically, what it's going to do is you grab. It's to get people involved, to bring
Okay.
them in. You can branch out and talk about a million different topics, much like this podcast.
Right.
You're not constrained by anything other than the people you bring in.
Right.
But you bring people in, and everybody always asks, like, what is it you do? And it's like, what do you do for a living is basically what they're asking.
Mm-hmm.
I work at a tuck shop, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm a real estate agent. But that's not all people
Yeah,
are.
there's a lot more layers.
There's more to people. Like if you wanted to press me about fantasy football, I can go deep on every
Yeah.
roster.
We can
like
go
dynasty leagues,
straight
football,
up Einstein on it.
talk
huh?
about cycling, or just a parenthood, or a million
Yeah.
different things, nostalgia, and everything's like that. Everybody has their story they want to tell, but everybody puts other people in a box.
Right.
Like even politically, I'm not gonna go political. I'm just gonna say one
No,
thing
it-
quick and get out.
You
of it.
you can say
Like,
whatever you want. On
Everybody
here.
says, well, they're on the left or they're on the right.
Yeah.
I don't want to associate with them or hear
No, you don't
anything
want
else
to be.
about them.
You don't want to be boxed in because it's so like. Once you box people in, you get a predetermined idea of how
Mhm.
they think, what they do, what they're probably like, which is so silly because like
You're 99% the same as that person.
Yeah.
You just differ on a few
yeah,
things.
and unfortunately those few things
Are polarizing.
are polarizing, or the mainstream sort of media makes you feel like you're polarized or completely opposite, when if you were to just have a conversation with them, you'd probably
Yeah. Find a lot of common ground.
find a lot of common ground, or just
Like me and you are probably pretty different. If we wanted to, if we want to find reasons to divide you and I, we can find them,
yeah,
and we can be divisive or whatever. but
probably.
what's
yeah.
the point?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately there is no main point unless you just want to have some sort of, friendly debate or something like that. But yeah, so
No, we're not that different. All of us in general. But we checked off a lot of stuff I did note. We talked about Bo. He was on the list.
Yeah.
Some of your previous podcasts, I was just going to highlight some of those.
Yeah.
But we talked about those a little bit. Brought a little philosophy in there. Fantasy football got mentioned.
It got mentioned.
How we met, that was in there. And I actually had my podcast on there. The only other thing that was not mentioned was panhandlers.
Oh, yeah,
Have you noticed how many panhandlers?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just...
I don't know why that's on my list.
No, that's a good time.
Just things that I've seen
this is
recently. Actually, I wrote that down as I was pulling into your shop.
Because you saw one?
I seen 4 between Poplar Bluff and here.
Oh, really? Do you have some in Poplar Bluff?
Yeah, there's 2 in Poplar Bluff, 1 in Paragould, and 1 right around the corner.
Yeah,
here.
they do. K8 News, which is the local news here, did a story on... It's been a while back, but on panhandlers becoming real bad. Like, they've seen people who, have different clothes on the next day. And, like, they said that, I think, this is hearsay, but one of them had told, like a passerby, somebody asked him, why are you out here doing this? And they were basically like, saying that, they make more money just doing this than they would going to work, so it'd be, getting handouts. But, like, they found behind some bushes where they had been standing, like, just tons and tons of, like, fast food restaurant, food. So, like,
I can't eat all this.
Yeah, like.
Swirl it back. It's not going to rot, man. Just keep it in the box.
But, like, it's so funny. Like, I feel like you'd figure they'd upgrade the sign. Like, it's all, if you ever notice, like, every panhandler or every person, it's always a cardboard box. Like, I just wonder where they get them.
Like, where y'all getting all this cardboard?
Who gave you that Sharpie? Who gave you that Sharpie? I thought you didn't have anything.
There was one. The guy in Paragould struck me. I pulled my phone out. I was going to take a picture of him with the light turned green. He was standing, I kid you not, under that McDonald's there in Paragould.
Yeah.
They have this big LED board. It said, "Now hiring, come inside." I swear to God. And he was standing there, and the guy looked like he was 2 or 3 years younger than me. I'm 29. He looked like he's in his mid-20s. Yeah. Good health. He actually had, like, clean-cut hair.
Sure.
Like, he looked cleaner cut than you and I because he didn't have the beard.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, what? Like,
what's going on here?
What are you doing? Homeless, anything helps. And I would,
it's
like,
always.
No kidding, directly above his head was a sign.
It's always anything will help. Have you noticed that?
Blows my mind.
So, yeah, anything helps. I don't know. I always just find that's.
You just gotta help yourself, man. That's all there is.
That's the go-to, though. Anything helps.
I've seen so many people that actually a long story. I'm not gonna tell it, but a point in my life, I was that's what I want to do. I got rid of everything I had.
You wanted to be a panhandler?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not. Have you ever seen the movie Into the Wild?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the life I lived for.
You wanted to.
No, not wanted to. I did.
Get super skinny and die from eating
I did not
poisonous berry.
No, didn't want to do that. But I got rid of everything I owned for a while, and then, like, that's what I did is just, like, traveled around, rode my bicycle around, all over the place, and slept on couches. And
really?
Took my tent and everything like that.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Very, very eye-opening. There's a lot of philosophy, a lot of thought that went into it. Long story, not going to tell it because we're probably going to wrap this up shortly. And you get to talking to these people that are out here panhandling and stuff like that, and that's what they want to do.
Really?
I'm not saying don't.
Sort of that old sort of 60s hippies, just sort of travel.
I probably talked to, realistically, 50, 60 different panhandlers, homeless people, air quotes. And that's what they want to do is be Alexander Supertramp. Just travel around.
That seems cool if you don't have any attachments.
Yeah, and that's why I had to do it is, like, I broke up with my girlfriend at the time.
And you just said,
I rented my house out, just gave them go put the money in this account. So this is where you pay the mortgage payment at.
Wow.
Got rid of my car, sold my first car from a bike. And I kid you not, this all led up to this.
That's a cool story, though, dude.
But
it's like a Lord of the Rings journey story. Like, you just
it was not near that cool.
Right, you didn't fight dragons.
I worked with a guy selling kettle corn, so we went around to different fairs and stuff. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And
you worked with the guy selling kettle corn.
Yep.
That's a good feather in the cap right there.
Put that in there. But it was so you get to, like, man, this is what I want to do. It was complete freedom.
How far did you go?
No attachments. How far?
I mean, did you literally, like, sell everything? Like, you had a gray T-shirt and some shorts?
No, I had, like, a backpack of stuff and, like, my clothes and camped out.
Did you have some cash or a debit card?
Yeah, I had cash. I had a really good job, actually.
Oh, really?
I worked at Briggs & Stratton, an engine manufacturing plant.
So you had money saved up?
Yeah, I had money in the bank. And it's not like I didn't need money. I mean, I wasn't attached to money. I've never been attached to money.
No, I've never been attached to money.
But it's like, I just want to live frugal and free. And like, you find yourself doing that, and then you find yourself. Like, you know what?
That makes sense.
And then you come out of it. Because I was always like high anxiety, high stress when I was younger.
Really?
Like everything was like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, kind of.
You don't seem like that type of guy.
Yeah, found myself, man.
That's cool.
And like, not everybody has to go to that extreme to do that.
Well, I think it takes some sort of activity or some sort of moment in your life. Maybe it was the breakup that stemmed it, but I think
I wanted to do that, so I broke up with her. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So she wasn't. Would you have taken her?
Nah, I couldn't, man. It was for me. It was a very selfish point in my life. But out of being selfish, you find a lot about yourself. So I got a lot out of it. But talking to a lot of the homeless people and stuff like that, that's what they want to do.
Really?
And you can see somebody when they're in trouble, when they need somebody.
Right.
And I always have a soft spot for people like that. Like I said, I own a mowing company. I've given dozens of people jobs like for the day.
Really?
Like, hey, let's go mow. All right, man. I need the help. And you can tell like who's wanting help and who's not.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like the people that do want it are genuinely like their foot's on the pedal, ready to go, and the people that aren't is just kind of like pretending, not really pretending, but kind of, like they, I don't know.
I tell you, what would be a good podcast show is something that I've done before. Like if I'm traveling across the country or something, I'll pick up hitchhikers like all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and hold them hostage. Like I was coming from like Washington D.C. back to Missouri. I'm like, hey man, where are you going? Oh, I'm headed down to where was he going? Like Nashville or something.
Yeah.
We got to Chattanooga. He's like, yo man, this is my stop. I said, come on man, we still got 4 hours to go. He's like, nah, I know somebody here. Let me off here. I'm like, okay.
He's probably like, dang, this Todd guy is blowing my dome.
Well, he thought he was gonna wear me out. I had him like ready to convert to Christianity. And like he's like, you know what, this is not what I had planned when I got in.
He had one hand on the
one hand on the handle the whole way. I had the child lock on. He wasn't going nowhere.
I can't even roll the window down, man. You farted.
But
you need to read the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. It's about a guy.
Who wrote that? That wasn't Camus. That was
no. It's just that was him and his son. I'm pretty sure
they went across the country and his son was on the back. I didn't read it. I listened to the podcast about it. The Partially Examined Life. Have you ever heard that podcast?
I have. Yep.
They covered that, and I listened to that.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It seems like it'd be pretty good. But yeah, when you started talking about that, it just sort of reminded me of that. So
yeah, it's very freeing. Now you know why I can't work a 9-to-5 job. Like it's not in me to do that.
It's not in me to do that either. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't really have a quote unquote boss other than me. So
don't need one.
Yeah.
And your wife's the boss. Nash is the boss.
That's true. Yeah. Nash is the boss.
You have responsibilities now. I couldn't do what I do today if I didn't do what I did 8-9 years ago, because I would still have all the frustration. I would still have all the anxiety about stuff. And then now it's once you clean your slate, you can build on it anew. And that's what I did.
You got to knock it down to the foundation and rebuild it.
Not quite an ego death like your last guest.
Yeah, not quite that
maybe
far.
It was. I don't know.
Maybe I think everybody has some sort of I don't know, something, but
yeah, it's always good to find yourself though, man.
Yeah. Well, did you have any closing thoughts? Anything that you thought, man, I really wanted to say this, but
no, I think I got everything out as I'm getting phone calls. But
well, man, that was good. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'll do it anytime.
Yeah, we'll do it again, and hopefully when you get yours going, I'll come down and do
a guest spot. Yeah, I'd like that.
I don't know if you're gonna have guests or not, but
absolutely, that's the whole purpose of it.
Okay,
it'd get real boring if it's
that's
just
true.
me.
Yeah. So, all right, man.
All right, have a good one. Thanks.
Bye.